Oh, hi folks, hope you had a lovely Christmas, getting over the turkey and things. And thank you so much for the previous comments and the kind comments that you leave under my videos I've done. And it's really lovely to see some of the names that ring a bell to me. And it's terrific to know that you're all well. Thank you so much. I've got that out the way. Um, it's very difficult when you've done many, many, many videos, in excess of 300 odd videos now, that have since bit the dust in many ways, where to start on a new theme or a flavour without in fear of repeating myself, because I may have deleted all the videos, but you're still listening to these chubby little cheeks here with the same brain attached, hopefully, minus a few grey matter cells. And as time goes on, it becomes increasingly more difficult for me not to start repeating myself, because I can only know so much. You know, when we've done the inoculations and the crimes against humanity involving them, we've dealt with the inoculations, we've dealt with how sodium fluoride in our drinking water is killing us all off and dumbing us all down, and everybody's in denial about it. We've done the flat earth, which we live on, absolutely do. We've done, well, countless things, haven't we? But I don't know about you, but as you grow older, you tend to be a bit more laid back. You tend to be a little bit more laid back. And I find myself not sweating the small stuff anymore. What used to faze me and irritate the crap out of me before, I just think, hey, it's not a world-changing event. It's, you know, I've learned to be a little bit more sedate about things, and it takes some control, I can tell you. But then you see, you have to say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They are young and stupid, as I was young and stupid, and I'm sure you were in many ways. And it is easy to be, it's easy, isn't it? They do say that hindsight is 20/20 vision, perfect vision. And they're absolutely true. But some people suffer from the lack of accumulating hindsight. They make the same mistakes time and time again. And it is exactly that. They make the same mistakes and they are losers all their life. They tend not to be winners eventually. They're not. We all have hope in our hearts that tomorrow is going to be better. Maybe tomorrow. Well, tomorrow never comes for many, and we never seem to learn. And I have to look at the language that I'm surrounded by now, the English spoken word, if you like, and realize how corrupt it has become when you listen to certain dialects. There are many, many dialects in the UK, and most of the time I don't have a problem, but I think I must be at that age now where I find that certain phrases keep popping up in everybody's conversations that seem to be just thrown in like advertising filler, like words given in a sentence to beef the sentence out because the sentence is so insanely stupid that they puff it up. And in the advertising world, of course, they call it puffing, don't they? Or fluffing, or, you know, a few phrases thrown in, as it were. There, that's an example, as it were. One of the common ones that millennials tend to be using quite now are, they'll say something like, well, you know, David came round the corner and hit his car, but he did leave a note on the windscreen, to be fair. Or they'll start their sentence off with, well, to be fair, it didn't really happen like that. And this phrase, three little words, to be fair, is a ring of insincerity about it to me. Well, no, let's not, to be fair, let's not be fair. Okay, let's straight talk facts here. Okay, it was a deliberate act on his or her behalf to cause trauma or upset to the other party. To be fair, you know, these irritate at the moment. They irritate the crap out of me when people do it, or they say that to me. Well, you know, yada 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 yada. To be fair, it didn't happen like that. To be fair to who? To be fair to what? What is this? To be fair. Well, why be fair? Let's just be honest. Let's just be straightforward. He's at fault. She's at fault. They did it. He's guilty. She's innocent. To be fair. And it's one of these three little words that are bugging the crap out of me of late. And I've actually now having to start her indoors and start to correct her. And she got contaminated by these three little words off my two adult children, to be fair. Don't you find it irritating when somebody says, Dad, yeah, to be fair? And the English language, as rich as it is slowly being corrupted. One of the other observations I found quite fascinating is the decline in the quality of my handwriting. Now, I've never been a gifted handwriter. My handwriting was often like a spider running across this page with ink on its feet. But I could construct and write quite nicely if I had to. I quite like using ink pens, the proper fountain pens. And for the last sort of few years now, I can't really remember, quite frankly, to be fair, having to sit down and write a lengthy essay or a letter by hand and a pen. So the other week I thought I'll sit down and I'll write some story, because I like writing stories, and I realised that the quality of my handwriting was one step up from a 6-year-old. My style had gone to shit, basically. I write quite nice writing. I used to, and it was very slanted to the right slightly as a lean, and a nice style. It was pretty constant. And now I find myself struggling to write a neat letter. And it had me worried. I thought, my God, it's the Alzheimer's that's kicking in again, you know, it's this. But I then realised that, why am I finding it difficult? Because there's an old saying, isn't there? Repetition is the mother of skill. Oh, how true. And yet, when was the last time I wrote a very nice essay or a letter? Well, ever since I've had a keyboard and a printer at hand, all I'd had to do is to sign my name, which I can do ad nauseum. And it's never changed since I was a fetus, really. But my handwriting has gone dreadful. So you can blame computers for that, of course, because we're all budding typists now. I mean, I am astounded at the speed in which my son types. Okay, he's into computer programming. You know, my daughter's into writing lots and lots of papers on the internet. And everybody is now at work, unless they have a manual job where they're actually quite dexterous. But I bet they don't. When was the last time you knew, or you sat down and wrote quite a lengthy document in hand, cursive writing? Well, it's tough, isn't it? So we can blame computers for so many ills, can't we? And that's one of them. It's stopped our ability, or it's degraded our ability to write nice handwriting. It's almost to the point that the teachers don't care now, because the homework, no doubt, will be provided off the local printer, cut and pasted in most universities. You can get through a degree course now without having an original word to any of your documents if you know where to look. And I think it's a sad state of affairs, to be fair. Yes. Is it annoying you yet? Well, listen out for those three little words, to be fair. It'll drive you crazy. And let me know if you know of any others. So, yeah, we've done the sodium fluoride. We've done the shit education of society now. We've done the Illuminati. The usual conspiracy theories about chemtrails. And it's very difficult to pick a topic now to find that you might have an interest in. And you think, well, we've done the vegetable oil versus the animal fats. And we discovered that vegetable oils are designed to kill us off and are wholly responsible for plaque damage and free radicals in our bodies. So can't really do that one now, can we? Unless there's a request for some such videos. Let me know if there's a topic you want me to cover underneath the video, and I'll try and fit it in and give you my take. But I do indeed remain a people watcher. But the one thing I think that we really should pay respect to is those people who have been at war. Now, when you look at the millennials, mostly, sweeping statement coming up, alert, is that I am surrounded now with 28 to 38-year-olds who have simply never had to fight in a war. In fact, look at the last people who were 1945 who actually went into active service. And those who are actually fighting in the Second World War now are actually bombing around on Zimmer frames, if they exist at all. Harry Patch from the First World War was the last Brit, wasn't he, to die from the First World War battles in the Somme and Ypres and the others in France. But now we're getting to the stage where even those who fought in the Second World War are considered grumpy old men or women and are now dropping like flies. And soon, you see, notwithstanding the Falklands and those currently serving in the armed forces, the civvies out there who were conscripted are dropping like flies and are a dying breed, quite literally. And those that will not now join the forces because it's no compulsive service to be done have no idea. And it does make and irritate me when there is disrespect shown by those who giggle. Don't buy a poppy. They have nothing to be grateful for because we are in a nation of takers and whingers. And we do whinge. We are born whingers. And I can tell you now, it irritates the crap out of me to listen to millennials talking about how tough they had it in their lives and how tough life is for them. Oh, bless their little socks. Their idea of a hardship is not getting a good signal for their phone, isn't it? Or not getting a good reception on the internet or the TV. Or they may have broken a nail, heaven forbid they break a nail. These people think they're tired. Well, they're tired for so many reasons. They drink too much, they smoke too much, they're out too much. Again, with the drink dance culture, it's all me, me, me. And they don't respect the fact is that we live in one of the greatest countries on the planet, the flat one, called Great Britain. Or England, my England. And there is no respect for our country anymore. And it is simply a question of time. The royal family will die out. Thank Christ for that. And we will become, in my eyes, a republic if I had my way. Because that's what we need in this country, is a republic government. And I don't think we'll ever get it. We know that we're in for a single world army. The European army is yet another stepping stone that is going towards a one world army. And 2 steps forward, 1 step back seems to be the way for these people. But even whether we Brexit or not, we will in Britain be involved in the European army. We're halfway there now with NATO, of course. So we are heading down that slippery slope, rather like going into a pitcher plant, where the only time we're going to get any peace is to be drowned. So it is a mad struggle to avoid slipping down the slippery slope. I am more convinced than ever that there is going to be engineered a second Brexit vote, and we will lose. I vote to come out of Europe and become a little Englander again, quite happily. My whole family voted to get out of Europe. We're all Brexiteers. But I've just been watching lately, and I can smell a rat with these bastards. They are engineering it slowly but surely, and they'll procrastinate and put all sorts of reasons, and there will be, this is my forecast, I do hope I'm wrong, that there will be another Brexit vote, and we will end up staying in Europe. It's almost as sure as eggs are eggs, in my opinion. But I do hope on this occasion I'm wrong. But I do take time out to go and have a look at cemeteries, sad that it is, and especially some of the war memorials. And I look and I think they're just names, but every name has a history. Every name was someone just like you and had a family that loved them, and they loved people in that family maybe. Or they had children, they were parents, or maybe they were the children of parents who cared for them and loved them. But now they are just a white cross on a grass verge with their name and rank and number. And you think, why did you bother fighting for the country that has been given away right under your very nose? Every military grave inhabitant must be spinning around like a top when you watch what is happening to our country, Great Britain. And I am in absolute despair of the whole thing. I am very glad that I am where I am right now in history. I often have discussions with my son, who's now 26 and left home and is doing nice in his career, about whether if I had a chance would I go back in time or forward in time and keep what I know in my head. Well, of course, if I went back in time, I would be wealthy very quickly because I would be seen as a genius. Well, we live in hope. I would be sport for choice as to what I could patent 80 years back with what I know in my head now. I would be very wealthy very quickly, I am sure. It's a bit of a con, but it'll work. But for me going into the future, I would be a lamb to the slaughter, wouldn't I? I would have nothing to contribute really, because what I know is simply history. And it is important, though, to realise that history does indeed repeat itself. And I am a firm believer that mankind has been here in our current incarnation on this earth no less than 4 times before. And we've obliterated ourselves off the planet at least 4 times in total. And we have had to be reseeded again at least 4 times. And each time we've been reseeded, we've had our DNA tweaked by those creators of us. And I'm not talking about, oh, what a friend we have in Jesus. I firmly believe that, well, I certainly don't believe in the origin of species because that's a bit of a joke. Darwin himself didn't even write that book. It was another chap, I think his name was John Wilson. I may be wrong, but I think it was John Wilson, who was co-writing The Origin of the Species. And he did a majority of the grunt work, and because he wasn't rich, he didn't get any publicity. So he had to get the book published by adding the name of this Charles Darwin chap, whoever he was. But he was very rich, Charles Darwin, because his parents made their fortune in the pottery business. And it was not wealth created by his knowledge of anthropology. But as I say, the proper author should have taken the credit, was his co-author. All Darwin did was sign his name, and he was a total fraud. That explains it all to me. But if you look back, there has been cases many times now where people are finding forbidden artifacts. They won't even discuss them. That would prove, quite provably, that humans in our current form, as we are now, roamed the earth with the dinosaurs at the same time. It's just that the evidence is squashed. There were giants on this earth. Evidence has been squashed by the Smithsonian Institute, who make it a habit of getting all these collected enormous, 18 to 20 meter people, getting their bones and shipping them off on boats, and they dump the bones that have been found and discovered by archaeologists the world over, and they simply say they don't exist. Why not? What's the big embarrassment? Because they want to keep us dumb on the farm with the other animals and realise that we are so insignificant, us, 2 and a bit meter people. Can you imagine having these giants roaming around the earth? Of course there were giants on this earth. There are still giants on this earth. And any history of them is quickly dispatched by the Smithsonian Institute and dumped and hidden away from us. But what gives the people in such places like the Smithsonian what makes them think they have the God-given right to make such decisions of withholding this information off the general populace? Who do they think they are, that they can decide on what we see and what we don't? We're not children, yet we're treated as such. We're kept on the dark and fed on shit, just like a mushroom. And this is the irritation in life, I find. It's an unjust world. And there are those who seem to think that they have the right. The same with the Vatican, sitting on 52 miles of bookshelves containing the most magnificent history of our world written down. And I don't believe for a minute that they lost the Library of Alexandria. I think it was relocated, majority of it, despite a little fire, under the Vatican in 52 miles of corridor and bookshelves. Why would the Vatican have that? Why can't that knowledge be available to all of mankind if they so wish? Well, because we gave our power away to religion. That's what happened. Religion. The biggest form of mass mind control, but they have such power. The Vatican. It's its own little country, isn't it? And the Vatican has never had a service in the Vatican, not a religious service, not at all, because it is a business. So that's what it is. The Vatican, the Jesuit business. They're a bunch of mafiosa. And it's nothing to do with religion, the Vatican, whatsoever. You might think so. It's a good front, isn't it, for the money laundering that goes on. But hey, being cynical here, God may strike me down. Well, if there was a God, and a just God, and you can, if you want to believe, that's up to you. But don't you think he would have sorted the crooks out in the Vatican by now? Let us not forget it was the Catholics in their early days when they were going around pouring molten lead into the non-believers' mouths, trying to get them to say, oh, what a friend they have in Jesus. Yes, so I rapidly realised in my life that religion is just simply nothing. It's nothing, it's a vain hope. But I am spiritual. And you don't have to be religious, folks, to be spiritual. I think, again, I'm here to learn, because I screwed up last time, no doubt. I'm back again. I know that I've been here before. I've done that in a previous video. I know precisely where I was brought up as a child in my previous time here. And I did a video about that, so I won't go into that again. But I know now, I think I've mellowed enough and stopped being so cynical and just learned to accept that people are people, and there are stupid people and clever people, there are nasty people and there are wonderful people. Because there's now to strangers folk, as they say in Yorkshire, and I'm not too sure about thee, they say. So where do we go from here? Well, am I getting melancholic? Well, it depends on how you would classify being melancholy. Sad, yes, but I do think I'm one of the fortunate ones. I am so glad that I witnessed the 60s and the 70s and 80s and 90s and the new millennium. But I am equally glad that I don't have to watch it all being turned to shit in the next 20 to 30 years and watch a country that I love, England, go down the toilet so rapidly. And yet the current populace of the country, I find, are quite indifferent. To be fair, yes, to be fair, there's nothing fair. You cannot operate on fairness. Fairness just favours the meek and mild and protects them. But behind the big screen of fairness, there's some drastic unfairness going on, isn't there? And it's inevitable that Britain will become, eventually, all non-white. It's a statistical certainty, okay, that when Caucasians have 2.2 kids, or 1.86 now, per household. In fact, we're not breeding because we can't afford it. But there are others that are coming as an influx to this country that are breeding, on average, 8.4 children per household. So it's a done deal. And I don't want to hang around to witness the Islamization, and that's what it'll be, of our country. And then what'll happen? Well, I don't know. I'd hope to be checked out by then, I can tell you, because I cannot bear to watch. And I really don't want to hang around to witness the downfall of such a wonderful country such as Great Britain. But it's been an experience. It's been fun. And I like surprises. But if I had a chance, folks, I'd certainly go back in time, not forward in time. I would go back in time because you have to be able to say that there's quite a nice future ahead. And I can't see it. Technology doesn't love you. Technology is nothing. It is simply that, technology. Okay, it's a bit like the thought behind a decision, isn't it? You need the thoughts before you can come to the decision. And you need to make the right decision, but therefore you have to have good ingredients of the good thoughts. Otherwise you make cake with crap ingredients, you get a crap cake. Well, we're having to make a country and make laws in this country. And the people that are making such laws and such rules now are corrupt, on the take, self-interested, self-promoting, and to be honest, to be fair, yes, well, it's almost like, take a look at what you could have had in this country if we look back. We don't have anything to look forward to. Most people now are waking up in such aches and pains. They are getting sicker and sicker by the day. They're getting fatter and fatter by the day. They're emotionally tired and wrecked by their 40 to 50. They have nothing to look forward to, particularly because they know they're going to be 65 bored and broke. So they're going to have to continue to working into what should be their retirement. And something's gone terribly wrong, hasn't it? I used to get quite upset when you look at youngsters who die young, maybe in their youngs. It's funny how the good die young, and I think that is so true. And maybe there's justifiable reason for it. Okay, apart from drug overdoses and suicides and various things, that historically, at the age of 30, you know, even in the turn of the century, the last one, if you reach 35, 40, you're considered getting on. And now we get upset if we don't reach the age of 60. Well, what's the point of, what's the idea? Why would you want to be so excited about being 60? Because you're just going to be 60 bored and dead broke, or all three of them. I don't look forward to it at all, personally. I certainly don't look forward to being 70. It fills me with horror. And I must confess, I have put things in my mind of suicide, if it ever got to that stage. But life is so precious. It's not the prospect of being turned away at the gates of heaven because I committed suicide, because it's a sin, I tell you. No, it's nothing to do with that. I don't believe in this nonsense. I think once you're dead, and if there were a heaven and it was a loving God, they would forgive everything. If they truly loved you, as you forgive those who trespass against you. Well, there we are. You see, what's the point? I don't want to go to a heaven where there's a God at the gate pushing me down to hell because I've been a bad boy. What's the point? I'm living in hell as far as I'm concerned. I think the earth is a hell for many people. A majority of people. It truly is a mental hell. It's a continual survival battle. Why is it that human beings are the only idiots? We're supposed to be the clever ones. Did you ever think about this? We're supposed to be intelligent, the innovators, the caretakers of the world. Yet every day 800 species of some plant, animal, insect or something has gone extinct. Every day. You just don't know it. There are things that have been on this world that you should have witnessed and should have watched and should have learnt about, but you never got a chance to get to know them. There's insects of such fascination and beauty that you've never laid eyes on, but they died yesterday. You'll never see one alive because we simply don't give a shit. We are like locusts, human beings. We are indeed a cancer on this world. But without human beings, I often wonder what the world would be like. What if you took all the human beings off the planet? How long would it take for the planet, the flat plane, to recover? It would happen very quickly. And it would recover. And the animals will just carry on regardless. They would survive and be very, very happy. And nature, being nature, will sort it all out as per normal. But we have to give nature a chance. The biggest potential threat on this planet is human beings. We are the most violent creature in existence on the surface of this earth. And it's not really something to be proud of, is it? Well, If there is an afterlife, I'm looking forward to my life review, because I can quite proudly say I've done and hurt nothing and nobody in a vain attempt to stand on people on the way up to where I want to go. And I'm quite true about that. But no, I've had the best of times, I've had the worst of times. Well, I haven't had the worst of times, because it's all relative. I was never a 12-year-old in a child's labour camp and a work camp, as they had in the Victorian times. Children would put up chimneys and down coal mines, and not really. You see, it's all relative, isn't it? We whinge a lot, don't we? And the millennials now that haven't ever had to fight for their country will never understand what it means to sacrifice themselves. Oh yes, they sacrifice themselves, swatting, burning the midnight oil, trying to get their so important immunology degree. Oh yes, I had to struggle for my 2-1 or my 2-2. Oh yes, I got a first at Cambridge and whatever. Oh, it's such a struggle. Really, when was the last time they broke a sweat? When was the last time they put their life on the line for someone else, or had to keep the guts of their best friend next door to them in their stomach and putting a hand over the bleeding wound inflicted by a bullet? When was the last time these lots shed a tear for anyone else? There are some marvellous people on this world. There really are some terrific people. But to be honest, their talents and compassion will be wasted and are wasted on a daily basis, because we are turning into a more selfish taker society. No, give me the old days any day of the week. And it's not because I'm hankering after going back in time. It's the fact is I happen to be able to compare what I can see is happening and what I can now guarantee has passed. And I can tell you which one I'd choose to go to. I would go back in time. And I would like to keep in my mind what I know now. Wouldn't that be a great choice? I talked in my video the other night about land masses outside Antarctic, the ring around us. And there surely must be land masses outside that are being protected that we don't have access to. Okay. And I often wonder how they populate them. Well, missing children are a phenomenal amount of missing children in America. And worldwide, children go missing. And it's very easy to ship them across state lines onto these hidden countries that we don't know exist. You can seed any country you like, there's plenty. In vitro fertilization now is so perfectly functional that you could populate a country in a heartbeat with sperm and eggs technology. All we would need is the recipient, so there's plenty of women out there who are barren would like to have a child implanted, and they could be shipped off. So population is nothing. You could seed, as they've done many times before, a populace. And we've done it for at least 4 times on this world. We have miners digging in deep mines, pulling out artifact after artifact of very advanced technology encrusted in a rock that is at least 500,000 years old. Maybe 4 million, maybe 5 million years old rock have been broken up, and they have found artifacts so advanced they were out of time. How do you account for that? Get yourself a book called Forbidden Archaeology and you'll have your eyes opened. But it doesn't pay my gas bill. I've still got to go to work next week. I've still got to, But for those of you who do a lot of navel gazing, to be fair, just listen, open your ears, but open your eyes. There's a wonderful saying there's no point having your eyes open if your mind is closed. What's the point? You have to have your mind open and your eyes open. And then you will see. A lot of people look, but they don't see. A lot of people hear, but they don't listen. And one thing that's taught me in my life at the age I'm at now is that I've been too quick to judge. And I should talk less and listen more. But by the time you learn this, the damage has been done. It's too late. And this is why if I went back in time, I'd like to keep in my head what I know now and go back in time. Because it's taken me a long time. The tragedy about being human is that by the time you've got all the answers and you've got all this, you've relatively got it sussed pretty well. You know the game, you know what's to be done. You die. I could never see the point. What's the point of accumulating information, most of which you'll never use and never find an application for in your life? But you had to do it. You had to learn it to progress and get on with your career. There are no more careers, folks. They're just jobs. The great career myth. It's all been one big scam. To be fair, seize the day. Enjoy every conversation you have with your loved ones and the ones that you're going to make. And remember, there are no strangers in your life. They're just friends that you haven't made yet. That's a good philosophy to work on. And for me, my New Year's resolution's coming up. I have to learn to listen more than I talk. And what I mean by that is that I listen, I hear, but I don't listen. I'm just thinking, when are they going to stop talking? When are they going to let me have my say? And then if they say to me, what do you think about that? I would be totally stumped because I haven't been listening to them. I've just been letting them talk and looking and pretending I'm listening. That's one of my biggest faults. And the other fault is I mustn't be so critical about people because they are a product of their upbringing. Everything about their life that's happened to them to the date of me meeting them has made them who they are and what they are. And you mustn't judge them too much because there, but for the grace of God go you. You also are a product of your upbringing, your genetics, your history, your memories, your thoughts, the way you deal with things. And the only way you're going to change your life, folks, is to change something about yourself. You've got to change something about yourself. And that might be eating humble pie, making some New Year's resolutions. I'm sure it's coming. But do you ever keep them? Unlikely. So, I'm quite happy. This year's been pretty much the same as last year. I haven't had massive enlightening. My beliefs have firmly stood as they were last year and the year before. And I still think that it is still rich man's wars and young man's blood will continue to be our modus operandi for the next 50 years. And we'll never have peace on this world so long as there are human beings upon it who are motivated by money, greed and power. And we must change this. But not in my lunch break, not in my lifetime. So, have a lovely new year. Take care. Hopefully, I won't be doing a video tomorrow because I'm busy at work. Yes, my own work. But maybe when I get a chance, I'll get one done on Friday. But in the meantime, take care and think once, think twice, and perhaps don't say it at all if you're planning to say something. But the fact is that you're thinking puts you ahead of the crowd. Love you all, take care, and enjoy your holiday.